Okay. Welcome to what I think is going to be episode 72 of the Card Diary by Hobbyist Thompson, where today we are going to be talking about baseball cards. So, today my special guest has one of my absolute favorite Instagram accounts. And the thing is, as my more devoted followers or, folks who know me and my hobby journey know, baseball is not my forte. I would say, certainly basketball is number one. I would have to slot in football number two as someone who's played fantasy football and has watched, as much college and professional football as I have. But baseball, I guess, would then be my third. And yet, folks like my guest today, who I'm going to have introduce himself, um, with his way of romanticizing the game and providing some incredible insight into baseball cards, I just it may only be a matter of time before it takes over football as my second favorite sport. I don't think it'll ever be number one for me, but I have today again my favorite one of my favorite Instagram accounts, TA24 cards, Tiger. And I guess I should just maybe also right at the top plug that he also has a new podcast called Fourth and Six, which kind of reminds me of a really bad situation in football to be in. But we can talk about that. But Tiger, um, I love your Instagram account.
Thank
It's
you.
absolutely
Thank you.
fantastic. I want to dive into that, and I want to dive into just the things you're doing. But welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
So I know that I can. So the way I found you is
Mhm.
just scrolling through, and your stuff is so good that I wasn't following you. It just showed up on my feed, and I was like, "What is this?" And I can certainly describe, what you're doing, but I think it might be better for folks to hear it from your words. If you'd like to
Yeah.
explain the gist of your account.
Yeah. So I essentially, I guess to wrap it up, is I find the play behind the photo that's printed onto a card. That's kind of the short of it.
Mhm. I mean, don't feel like you have to wrap things up too quick. We just started. It's podcast, long form. The thing
Sure.
is, I
Yeah.
I, I did I did see your podcast episodes. You are
Yeah.
really good at editing and making things like short and sweet and to the
Thank you. Yeah.
point. I am the absolute complete opposite. I take winding, meandering roads and tangents, and I go down rabbit holes. But that's just I like doing that, and those are the type of
Yeah.
podcasts I like listening to. So I definitely get into the minutia. So I did mention to you before having you on to try to get you on. I definitely buttered you up, but real genuine compliments because I really
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
find your account to be. I think you're selling yourself short a little bit, but so we'll dive into a little bit more about how
Sure.
maybe not how the sausage is made, but like just kind of like more providing some more detail to how awesome I find your content to be. But yeah, when it comes to this I don't know, this idea um
Hmm.
of having you on today, it's I had this idea of like trying to get into the journalistic aspects or the watchdog aspects. And I certainly wouldn't
Yeah.
call your account like watchdog.
Right. Yeah.
Journalistic, you're not like breaking the news, but when it comes to the investigation that you do, I feel like, I mean, you could be like one of the best detectives in the world. It's like, I don't know, do you know that show True Detective? Do you watch that show?
I have seen, I think, the first couple episodes of it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's I used to watch a lot of TV and then the hobby happened and now I don't watch much TV, but I know True Detective, the most recent one has like Jodie Foster and she's in like
Yeah.
Alaska or something. My wife and I try to watch it and I'm like, but I got cards, so I gotta go.
Yeah.
So um the investigative, again, it's like you take little bits of shreds of evidence that's like on the four corners of a baseball card. And I think
Mhm.
usually or almost always it's the front of the card. I don't think you use the back, but maybe you do.
Yeah.
But you zoom in like visually, and then
Mhm.
you do a wonderful voiceover for your videos, and you are able to extrapolate through the minutia that you find on a baseball card,
Yeah.
and you are able to find the exact moment, the exact game, the exact moment that that play has happened. And I find it to be so riveting. I I love, again, just like this ability for you to what is it called, like deduction skills, or you're able to deduce how, where this came from. And that's why I have you on, because it's like investigative. Again, not breaking news like, oh, there's another store opening up and the next
Yeah.
drama, but it's like the investigation is really intriguing to me.
Well, and that was a lot. A lot of it comes from my background. So I spent the last 3 years as a TV reporter and anchor, and a lot of what I did, a lot of it was, breaking news and new things that were happening. But a lot the stories that I really loved were the ones that I could sit down and actually go in depth in. And one of my favorite series that I did was it was in North Texas and Southern Oklahoma was kind of where I was at. There was a defunct minor league baseball league and in Southern Oklahoma that went defunct in the 1950s. And so I found, I think it was 3 or 4 teams, and I got somebody to talk to me about each individual team. So somebody knew every single time. And I made these stories that were like 2.5 minutes long, which in TV is a very long time. It's usually a minute and a
Mm,
half. So I got an extra
okay.
minute of time, and I loved doing those and talking to the people. I talked to the guy that he was a kid when he would flip the score, the numbers
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
scoreboard, and he just like remembered it from when he was 6 or 7 or something like that. So I love going in and taking the deep dive stuff, and so I guess I kind of translated that to these videos now.
Well, if you were on TV and you did 90 seconds, you're perfect for Instagram, because of course we all have that 90-second reels limitation.
Yeah.
Um, I not to well, yeah, I'm gonna just do it. Let's just get into that person who does the scoreboard thing. I know, like
Mhm.
in MLB stadiums, it's all like electronic, but I imagine I've never been in there, but I feel like I can't remember the name of the movie, but you know that room or whatever it is, it must be so hot in there.
You probably, yeah, if you're talking about like Fenway, they still do it by hand. I
Oh,
can't imagine the heat or like the smell. I would have
the
to imagine the
smell.
smell's not very good.
Yeah, no, I imagine Fenway. I mean, again, who knows, right? With what they've modernized and not, but um, I would like to think that they're more like they have more fans, or I mean, literal physical fans, and just kind of like a better air conditioning or something like that. But I mean, minor league ballparks, there's just this, it's bootstrapped, and it's like, just how do you even function sometimes? And of course, there's that whole entertainment aspect, and that's how to get people in the stands. Um,
Mhm.
again, just I guess sidetracking, talking about minor league baseball. Are you a fan of like the Savannah Bananas?
Yeah, I like what they're doing. I follow, or I'm keeping up with them on Instagram. I mean, I think it's a cool concept. It's like, why not have some fun with it? Make your own rules.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it, because it's not. I mean, I imagine for like a game. I don't know if anyone is degenerate enough to like gamble on Savannah Banana games, but and, there's like nothing at stake. I mean, it's. I
Yeah.
mean, I hate to say it that way, but like, it's supposed to be fun, right? And at the end of
Right.
the day, it's sports, but it is like all the things that we do. Like from a sports standpoint, yes, there's millions of dollars, there's professionals, but
Mhm.
it's a kids game, right? All
Right.
of these, like, you play them in recreational centers. That's why we love this, right? I mean, we all, in some capacity, have, thrown a ball or shot a hoop, or, hit a baseball or something like that. And that's,
Yeah.
we emulate these, when we're younger, they're heroes. And it's so sad that a lot of us are like in our, 40s and over, and we're like chasing cards of like these, 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
But it's I think it is a way to like maybe connect with our childhood. Like, what do you think about that? Like, what was your sports background growing up? Was it all like little league?
So yeah, I played a lot of little league every year, but my main sport growing up was hockey. That was
Mm,
my dad played. I was on roller skates when I was 3 years old, playing street
mm,
hockey, and like that was the majority of my time. And then baseball was just what you did in the spring when hockey was over.
mm.
And so baseball didn't really come back to me until I started making these videos.
Oh.
I stopped playing baseball when I was a freshman in high school.
Mm.
And then, fast forward 10 plus years later, it's like now I love, if I knew now what I did back then, or if I knew back then what I know now, I would have kept playing. I would have played longer. I love it. But I fell back in love with it because of these cards.
So again, this I'm just gonna go down these sidetracks here. What were your positions in baseball and hockey, and who are your current like favorite teams or players?
Okay, so I'm a Boston guy, born and raised.
Boston.
So it was Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics, and Patriots.
Gotcha.
And then so for hockey, I made the switch to goalie.
Mm,
A lot of it, oddly, like the oddest reason for me becoming goalie was that I hated when I would show up to the game as as a player and the goalie wasn't there. And I'm like, is this kid coming? Because it happened multiple times where like they
yeah.
forget there's a game and you're missing
Mm,
the most important piece here. So I just part of the reason I became a goalie was because I knew I was going to show up,
uh,
and so we didn't have to worry about a goalie. And then for baseball, I played catcher and I played first base in my like later years of playing baseball. So it was
okay.
like just put me with a helmet and like getting something thrown or shot at me. I'm great.
I hear that hockey is definitely my fourth out of the four,
Mhm.
major team sports. That being a goalie is kind of like like a relief pitcher in baseball where you have so much time to think, and then
Mhm.
you have these short bursts of like intense action,
Yeah.
and you are like in a way in both ways you're saving, right? I mean, relief pitchers with the saves and goalies with the saves, but like your team is depending on you to like be the backstop or to
Right.
finish the game.
Yeah.
So I mean, we also have known some more so relief pitchers and goalies, but like kind of like the when you're getting in your head, you kind of get a little bit nutty. Like, I mean, we've seen like bad examples like John Rocker, but like apparently it's a thing. Like you're kind of like in a way, if especially if your team's on offense in hockey, you're like by yourself, and
Yeah.
you in the professional setting, you have like the fans just like jeering you from behind.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, I never was that good to have people yelling at me for letting in goals. But you're right about that. It's like I always tried when I was a goalie to stop the first couple of shots because if I let one in on three shots, my head is off. It's
Oh, yeah.
off. And I knew every game, I knew that I was due to give up one extremely bad goal, but I was also due to have an amazing save, just an out of nowhere save. So if I
Nice.
let in that bad goal, it's like, all right, that one's out of the way. Hopefully it wasn't too early because I might have two. But I always knew I had that like in my back pocket kind of the thing. I'd flash the glove or something like that.
Mm,
But yeah, it's very mental. Goalie is very mental as it is
mental, yeah.
physical.
So what is a bad goal to let in? Like, is it the what is it called? The five hole, like in
Five
between?
holes,
Is it like
so embarrassing. Yeah,
is it?
yeah, right through the middle because it's like everything is right there for you.
Yeah.
Some of the corners, if somebody shoots in a corner and it goes in, maybe your angle was off. It's like if it goes through you, that is
Mhm.
so bad. So bad.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna share something with you and the listeners because why not? I'm gonna put this out into the universe as well. So in trying to prepare for this podcast series, the mini series about the journalists and the watchdogs, I have reached out to several people.
Mhm.
Um, I'm finding the watchdog aspect to be a little bit harder because I think some of them they're just resident to get into this type of setting and kind of like share about themselves or
Yeah.
whatever the reasons are, but it is a little bit harder. And I'm also supposedly part of the hobby positivity crew, and that detracts from the hobby negativity crew to like get onto the
Mhm.
podcast. But I don't believe in all of that stuff. But I also, from the journalistic standpoint, I think there are some sources that really legitimize the reporting aspect of the hobby, and I think for the hobby, the main person is Darren Ravel, and I will admit that I have been trying to get him on the podcast,
Mhm.
but it's he's a very big he's a huge
Yeah, he's
account, and
very in
he's
on it.
got
Yeah.
so many things going on. But the reason I bring him up is his in his stories he put how his son is getting or his kids are getting into hockey,
Mhm.
and he was like showing his son in hockey gear, and he's like, this is $2,300. And I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah, hockey's
basketball, you just got the
crazy sport.
basketball,
Yeah.
yeah. So you had to get all that equipment too. Like, I mean, I imagine it was cheaper back then, but like, I mean, is it really that expensive to be a
It's
goalie?
very expensive. Yeah, hockey I think is one of the most expensive sports to play because you have to buy the equipment, and
Hmm.
then if you're if you're a team that doesn't own your own rink, you have to pay for the ice time, and that's
Mm.
it kind of adds up. And then if you're a travel team, of course, you're going even more places, and the equipment breaks down. Your sticks break like crazy, and they're like $300 a stick. It's pretty nuts. It was. I remember it being cheaper back when I was playing when I was younger,
Hmm.
but it's a very expensive sport to play.
I know we're going down so much hockey without even getting to the baseball much yet, which we will, I promise, I assure you. But are you a fan of this? Like, have you opened up any like Upper Deck series too? With this whole Connor Bedard chase and the Young Guns and all that.
I haven't. I've been watching though. I've been watching, scrolling through Twitter and seeing. I mean, it seems like everybody is pulling a
Yeah,
Bedard.
yeah, everyone has one now.
Yeah,
It's like, how rare is this thing?
yeah,
If
really.
it's not numbered, and
Yeah.
it's supposedly a SS super short print, but then maybe it's a short print, and
Mhm.
I know these card companies can always make more. And apparently, again, I don't know how true this is, but like Upper Deck, when they delayed the release, apparently was so that they could just be ready for the demand and just print as much as they could. Because
Um,
I mean, if you're printing a Connor Bedard, it's like printing money, I guess. So,
right. Yeah.
but man, it's yeah. So that's hockey for you.
Mhm.
I don't know if I think I may have uncovered every. I've gone through every door with that. But so baseball. So
Mhm.
you did stop playing, but you came back to it.
Yeah.
Like when did you come back into it? Like just relatively time
It,
period wise.
I think it was like the beginning of last season where I was
Hmm.
like, wait a minute, I love baseball. And so it was kind of like it was there the whole time, from my last game playing as a freshman in high school to um, a year ago, I guess. It was there, but it wasn't active. And then it was just all of a sudden. So I started the first card that I looked at was it was Xander Bogart's rookie card. He's playing shortstop. He's underhanding a ball to second. And so that I saw that just scrolling on Twitter. Somebody had posted a lot of cards that they bought, and the Xander Bogarts was right there on top. And I'm like, that's a cool card. So I found one for like $3, won the auction, had it shipped my way, and I looked at it. I'm like, the Fenway Park keeps ALE standings, updated ALE standings, and I saw the numbers in the background of that card. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could find when this was taken, and then now we're here.
Yeah. Well, again, it's almost like it's like that Seinfeld episode where Elaine's like yada yada yada, and then, but I feel like there's so much in that process, and I don't know how much you are willing to reveal with the secret sauce and the magic, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think you do show some behind the curtain, like you show that you find these clips on. Again, I don't know if it's like MLB TV
Hmm.
or whatever the website is called, but like there's MLB. It's really interesting. Out of the well, maybe I don't know much about hockey, but like there are some sports that are more amenable to having their stuff out there without copyright, but
Hmm.
MLB is very kind of like closed lid on their stuff and in-house, and they'll do a lot of what is that called, like the DMA or the violations and having things
Yeah.
taken down. So, but you are able to, I guess, yeah. Please, as much as you're willing to, kind of
Yeah.
share the process of card to reel, I suppose.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, it always starts usually with a request. Sometimes I'll do ones that I just wanted to do,
Okay.
which is the beauty of kind of running your own page is you can do what you want. Uh,
Yes.
but I take a lot of those requests and I look at the card. I have a notebook, like a legal pad next to me, and I just
Hmm.
write down everything that I notice about it, what jersey they're wearing, are they home or away,
Hmm.
what's going on in the play. And I think what's going on in the play is probably the most important thing because
Hmm.
I found with baseball, and one of the reasons why I do mostly I mean, 99.9% of my videos are baseball. I think there's one basketball one. Um, is because it's so well documented, and you know that if the shortstop is reaching down or it looks like he's about to receive the ball, you know what that's going to look like on the play-by-play. It's going to be documented as the shortstop doing something. Whereas, like, if let's say hockey, for example, there's a right wing somewhere on the ice, you don't know all the time where he's going to be skating or standing or
Mm.
waiting, anything. But you
Mhm.
know the shortstop is going to be within a certain window, and kind of reading body language, reading what's going on, looking in the background for ads sometimes helps if it's an away game. So I take all that into consideration. I look at jerseys. There's a website called Uniform Lineup, and it's a website done by a guy who made it his. It's a passion project for him.
Mm.
I think he started in 2012 because he realized that nobody was recording jersey data. So
Wow.
he has every single game from 2023 to 2012, exactly what each team was wearing every day. So,
Wow.
which is it's such a cool tool to have, and such a cool project for someone to create, because they
Yeah.
saw that necessity. And then from there, usually that's how I get a list of games where it could be just based on jersey information or hat information, something like that. And then from there, it's usually baseball reference,
Mhm.
just trying to find games that fit the criteria, night game, away game, things like that. And then we go to, if I think I've found it, or if I need to find key pieces like a sleeve they're wearing, what color batting gloves, any kind of cosmetic stuff, I'll go to mlb.com/video, which is the website that you were talking about, which is free to anybody, which I
Yeah.
love. And that's kind of crazy to me that they have every pitch from 2016 to, the last pitch of the World Series. They have every pitch, whether it be a foul ball, hit by pitch, anything.
Wow.
Uh, so, I mean, that helps me a ton. I go there and you can use some filters to plug in some data
Mhm.
to narrow your search down. And then it's just about watching those videos. And most of the time they're 10-second clips just of the ball being thrown. So from there, I'm able to kind of see, like, okay, it's a little bit too dark in this one, so it's probably not this game. Let's go to the next one. And so that whole process, now I've found it. Now I have to relay that process back to a viewer without making a 2-hour long video, because
Yeah.
nobody would watch that. So which is similar to what I did when I was a reporter. Was you take this long interview, this long process, all these
Yeah.
different shots, and then you crunch that into a minute and a half. And in my sake, it's usually a minute to a minute 20.
Yeah.
So then I open up, I edit in CapCut.
Mhm.
I've just become familiar with that. So I throw all these elements, I screen record everything
Yeah.
that I know is important. I record the audio that I say, record an intro right here at my desk, and then throw that
Yeah.
all into CapCut, and then edit the whole thing. So I think usually the whole thing takes like 2-3 hours.
And here I am just mailing in my content. I mean, the podcast I put time into and I really enjoy, but
Yeah.
like when I make my Instagram reels, I'm just like in my car doing a mail day, and I'm just like, oh, okay, just put some captions on, call it a day. But no, I'm really impressed by your editing skills.
Thank you.
It's almost like for me, it's like my hoarding mentality or my hoarding gene with cards. It's almost like my videos. Like I don't know where to cut. I don't know where to trim the fat.
Mhm.
I just kind of like my entire content is fat. And so when I see someone like you take the time to really narrow things down and edit, and while showing, what you saw to find that
Yeah.
exact clip. And it's so impressive because, and this isn't about this, I didn't have you on to talk about content creation, but I mean, that's why we're here, like in terms of like what we're talking about right now. But I really admire your ability. Again, it comes from your background, and of course it really helps to have such a strong announcer's voice. Like you should you got to be like announcing these baseball games because it's so good.
I want to.
Yeah, no, man,
It's fun.
oh gosh, I mean, I hope that for you. I really do.
Yeah.
But it's really impressive that you're able to do that, and the time you put in is very it shows. It's really admirable. It's really cool. So thank you for doing that because again, I mean maybe if I'm an influencer in any way, I think I want to try to influence you to do like basketball cards and basketball games.
Yeah.
But I also know it's like you said, like, especially in this current positionless game we're playing,
Mhm.
anyone can be anywhere at any time,
Right.
and that's got to be really hard. And then also, I don't know if there's as much cataloging of every moment as there
Yeah.
is with baseball, because baseball is very every single pitch or every single, I don't know what you call it, play or moment
Mhm.
starts with pitcher has ball gets thrown, something
Yep.
happens, right?
Yeah.
It's like reset every single
Yeah.
time. And
Very simple in that way.
yeah, I mean, I guess football, you got the snap and all that, but it's just kind of different. Yeah, don't do football. It's I want your power. I want your powers for basketball.
For basketball.
Yeah. I mean, there are certainly like really iconic moments that are caught, especially if it's like a special card and it's like LeBron passing Wilts. But like I love the minutia of when you get to like these random moments. And I want to get to talking about Top Stadium Club in a moment, but like
Mhm.
I just feel like the emotion. Maybe I'm romanticizing baseball just too much,
It's
but
okay. It's okay too.
it is such a wonderful the expressions and emotions on the players' faces. I mean, football, you got the helmets and it's hard. Hockey,
Mhm.
same thing.
Yeah.
Basketball, you definitely do have emotions on the players' faces, but I don't know if it has to do with like the photography and how much Tops pays their photographers more than Panini. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I gotta say, baseball cards, there's something about them that's it's the look. It's also like the smell. I gotta say, like I haven't opened up Tops in a long time, and then I'm opening up these cards and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is a smell from my childhood."
Yeah.
It's some chemical in the printing of Topps cards versus
Yeah.
Panini.
Yeah, there was last weekend I bought and opened a box of 2005 tops because that's one of the I know we might talk about this later. It's one of the things that I collect. And I would be lying if I said I didn't like hold the stack and
Yeah,
yep, yep, I'm back.
yeah,
I'm back to my childhood there.
just instant. Yeah, I feel like these grading companies, they need to in order to authenticate a card, it's just smell them. Don't
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
do the whole like grading, what's authentic and what's not, what's
Yeah.
altered, what's not, all that stuff.
Yeah. There's a
Just
dinged corner, but that smell, man, that's a 10.
Yep, yeah, smells a 10. Yep, subgrade smell 10. That's my new grading company,
I
Denny
like
Cards
that a lot.
Grading.
I'm in on that with you.
Yes, yes. I'm taking in early seed money.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the positions, I just want to go back to this a little bit before we go forward to the cards, and that is why we're here, and the card diary and all that. But has I don't want to get too esoteric. For those who are familiar, and I'm very much a casual baseball fan. I'm not hardcore, but I do know of things such as like the shift
Mm,
and how that's really greatly impacted play.
mhm,
And that's when you have the entire infield go one way or the other based on what they think the data says about the hitter and what
mhm.
their predilections are. Does that kind of make your job easier or harder?
I think the only time that I think I've run into it was the video that I just posted for the 2 year, like, or entering year 2 for me was, the Xander Bogaerts card, the 2021 card where he's, like, midair jumping and
Yeah, I
throwing.
saw that. Yeah.
He was in the shift. I believe he was because he came over from the second base side,
Hmm.
ran back to his original spot at shortstop, caught, pick up the ball and threw it over. So that was just kind of like it was. I guess it was an oddity, but I haven't run into too many shift pictures. But
Okay.
that one, I believe, was.
Yeah. Okay. No, that and you got to be so fast to be able to get back to your original position. I mean, it's
Yeah.
that ball's coming at you like 100 miles an hour, literally.
Yeah.
Um, what my next question was with regards to the jerseys. You talked about like the uniform lineups, and I think that's
Mhm.
fantastic. I mean,
Yeah.
what a passion project.
Yeah.
The this whole like city editions and like I know the Nats they have like the cherry blossoms and all that.
Yeah.
Does that I imagine it helps make it hone things down easier, but, like, I mean, can you tell me more about, like I'm just trying to figure out, like, the transitions, and I know you haven't been doing this like since the 90s, but
Mhm.
I just find your process. I just find the whole thing to be so fascinating. So I'm just kind of getting into the minutia of like, what has in recent years, the changes, and I don't think the pitch clock changes much, but like,
Yeah.
jerseys and shift, like how does that all affecting? So city edition stuff.
Yeah, so those City Connect jerseys are,
City
I feel like they're worn very infrequently, which helps,
Mm,
trying to find, I think obviously it makes for a cool photo if you have the right jersey and it's the right team. There are some teams that do it really well. I think the Diamondbacks City Connect is really clean. Even though I'm a Red Sox fan, I'm not the biggest fan of the neon yellow ones.
mhm.
Um, but I mean, you get what you get. But
Yeah.
yeah, to answer your question, it does help narrow things down, and especially I think the addition of more jerseys. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think in the 90s, relatively, you had your home white, you had your away gray, and then
Mhm.
maybe you had one team color jersey that you threw in sometimes. But now, I think I'm trying to think. I think the best example is Arizona. They have the home white, they have the gray, they have a black, they have a red, they have the City Connect. Like they have the purple throwback jerseys, they have the teal white pinstripe jersey. They have a ton. So finding a Diamondbacks card, I can usually narrow it down just based on the jersey. So that helps me in a way. Teams like the Yankees, it's like, all right, we have 81 games to choose from because they're wearing the white pinstripes.
Yeah.
Or Detroit, even. I think there's one
Mhm.
day of the year they wear their Detroit Stars throwback jersey.
Mm.
But other than that, they're wearing the gray
Yeah.
script to Detroit, or they're wearing the white with the blue D patch over the chest. So those teams don't really help, and it's kind of when somebody requests a Yankees card or a Tigers card, it's like, all right, I got to buckle in here. Where we've
Oh
got
boy.
we've got to yeah, we've got
Well,
to.
that's when you gotta start getting a Patreon or charge them, like, "All
Yeah,
right, man, this is gonna be, like, half a day of my life here."
I know
No, that's
it
fantastic.
does take a while.
So speaking of patches, that makes me wanna ask, what are your thoughts about the MLB debut patch that
Oh yeah,
has recently been in cards? And then I
yeah.
have a follow-up to that, but what do you think?
I think that's it. I think it's a cool concept. I think it's the first time that they added something to the game just for card collectors. I can't. I know, like sometimes they'll cut up, jerseys for
Yeah,
jersey
yeah.
patches, but you're not wearing that jersey because one day it's going to turn into a card, but you
Mhm.
are wearing that patch because someday it's going to turn into a card. So I
That's
think
a
that
good
might
way
be
to
the
put it.
first time.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it, and I have no reason to believe that that's not the case. So
Mhm.
yeah, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
On the flip side of what
Mhm.
Fanatics is doing, and Fanatics, someone from there may or may not be listening. Again, I have a sense that they have their eyes and ears all over the hobby.
Mhm.
So it's not like my podcast is especially unique for them to listen. I think they just do a lot of research and listening, but
Mhm.
there has been quite a row and uproar with regards to the uniforms
Yeah.
for this year.
Yeah.
Um, to the extent that you and I'm not trying to get you in trouble, but like, what are your thoughts about this? L- Being able to look at people's and
Yeah.
everything, like,
Uh,
you know,
it is all out there. Yeah. I
yeah,
do. See, I mean, you can see behind me. Well, for people who are watching, I
yeah,
have two Red Sox Majestic jerseys,
hmm
and I love the quality of those. Those are my
hmm
favorite. I do have a couple of Majestic with the dry fit, and I don't have a Nike one yet, but I love that old feeling of that era of jerseys. But it's I think it's definitely something that needs to be fixed because I think just privacy for the players, and then not having fans see what kind of compression shorts they're wearing is
yeah.
is usually a good idea.
Yeah, no, I see, I consume a lot on social media, especially on Instagram, and I every time Fanatics makes a comment or it's not even their own post, it's just comments
Mhm.
on someone else's
Yeah.
video. It's always like some nasty mean thing like, when are you gonna fix the jerseys? And it's like they were just on social media to like, uplift another creator's post, and there's someone
Yeah.
is just like super upset. But
Yeah.
I think, yeah, baseball has probably the most passionate. Again, nothing to take away, especially like, my love is basketball, but
Mhm.
baseball has such a passionate fan base. And when it comes to the cards, like, set building is more prominent in baseball than any other sport that I know of, or from what I've heard. And so I find it to be really fascinating as someone who's selling, single cards on eBay. I just feel like for the low end, there are set collectors who are looking to complete their, out of 2023 their parallel sets. So
Mhm.
they're not rainbow chasers, and some, of course, there are people who are rainbow chasers,
Mhm.
but when it comes to sets, it's just there's a completist mindset, I think, that is in baseball that exists maybe more prominently than in other sports. What do you think about that?
I think so. Yeah, I also set build. I think I'm like 100 cards away from the 2023 set,
Okay.
and I just obviously started the 2024 set. But yeah, I think you're right, because I think a lot of the time, whenever I do see somebody showing off a set build, it's always been baseball, and
Mhm.
I don't know how much of that is like tradition, or or something else, because I mean, Topps has been around since 1951 making these cards. So I think it's easy for people to look at Topps as, Topps baseball set build, boom, there it is.
Awesome.
So
Yeah. See, we talked a little bit before getting on this recording, but I didn't know that you were like about 100 cards away from the 2023 set.
yeah.
I happen to have a bunch that I'm gonna
Oh.
just DM you, and I'll just say it on the record. Whatever you want from there,
Oh man.
just take. I'll just send you everything. Why not? Like, I don't
That's
know how many
great.
cards I have, but even if they're duplicates, great. But I'll just mail it to you. But it
Oh,
does
I
require
appreciate
you to
that.
send me your mailing address. But as a thank you for being on this
No.
podcast.
Well, thank you.
The 2024 set I can't do as well. That one, yeah, what do you think? I mean, I had a little bit of joke. I didn't make content about this, but I feel like the people who don't like the 2024 Top Series 1 look because of that neon and all that,
Mhm.
they're just maybe more traditionalists and they're older. And then
Yeah.
the younger folks, and we're middle aged, but like the younger folks seem to really like it because it looks really nice. So what are
Yeah.
your thoughts about Series 1 2024?
I actually really enjoy the look of it. When it first came out, I wasn't super hot on it, because I wasn't, I don't know. I'm not a big neon guy, but then
Yeah.
when I bought a blaster on release day, and I opened it up
Mhm.
and I actually held the card in my hand. I'm like, this is super cool. It's the highlight color. I mean, I have one of them here, is the Hassan Kim. So
Ooh.
yellow is kind of the accent color for this Padres card, and so the yellow has like a shine to it all the way around. So wherever you see that, the neon yellow is like jumping at you. And I thought that was super. I mean, it was super cool of them to make possible. So it grew on me, and now I enjoy it.
Look at you, TA, totally buttering me up, knowing that he's Korean and that I'm Korean. Just just
I
just perfect. Hassan Kim, shout out. Oh man. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
So
it's not
so
planned, by the way.
was it okay? Well,
It
hey, look,
wasn't.
maybe subconsciously, but no. That I really like the foil. When I opened it up, I've only opened up a box and a blaster and all that, but basically, I do like the look, but there's so many variations, and I didn't realize, the whole one of one first day issue stuff.
Mhm.
That's another issue that Fanatics had, but this whole Kevin Hart thing. So
Yeah.
I have a ton of base because that's what Series 1 is about,
Mhm.
but I'm going through the base cards over and over and over again, which for some people might be tedious, but it was fun because in a way it was almost like treasure hunting to me. Like, I get to go through my base cards again and
Yeah.
just, I feel like, in this day and age, like we care about are like the slabbed case hits and all that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was looking for the one of ones. I was looking for the Kevin Hart's, the SPs or the SSPs, but it was interesting that whether it was intentional or not, there was almost like a re-emphasis on, hey, you might have hidden treasure in those
Yeah.
cards. Why don't you just go take another look? So I'm literally double checking, triple checking
Yeah.
to see if any of them fit that bill.
Right. Yeah. And it kind of a funny comparison. That's also in a way how I got started making these videos because I don't have the money to spend on these cards. If I did, I probably would have invested too much into Mac Jones, which would have not been a good idea. So I was literally just looking at the cards that I already owned, and I'm like, I think I could probably find that. So that began because I was double checking, triple checking my cards, like
Yeah.
you are with the 2024 set.
You know, you just have 2 bad years as a Patriots fan, and all of a sudden everything is the end of the world.
Yep.
All those Super Bowl wins, it's like, oh my gosh, to be a title town Bostonian, oh my goodness, like you've had so many parades and so much success, and it's like this Mac Jones. I know what you're talking about. That recent news story about how the kid pulled it and sold it for
Yeah.
6 figures, and now it's barely 5 figures. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, what a story. But yeah, to be a Bostonian fan must be really nice.
It was great growing up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I very much imagine so. So I do want to talk about so there are two more things maybe I want to chat with you about.
Mhm.
Let me pivot to Top Stadium Club just for a
Okay.
moment. Oh, and by the way, I don't know what you think about if you have a favorite insert set or whatever, but from Top Series 1, I gotta say, like this blueprint insert set, I love it. It just
Mm,
looks so nice. Like do you have any, and it doesn't have to be Series 1, but like do you have any favorite sets, insert sets? I know you said you're working on the 2023 build and all that, but
yeah.
yeah, just from a card standpoint.
Yeah, my favorite set, like, design, I guess, is the '05. I just that sentimental reasons that I talked about in my newest episode. I'm not trying to plug the podcast here, but
Please do.
yeah,
No, you
well,
have to.
the 4 and 6 sports podcast,
Yeah.
on Spotify, by the way.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
but I just talked about that a little bit, and so that's my favorite. And there's an insert in there. It's called "Own the Game," and they use that like reflective. It's kind of cool. The first one I had, I think, digging through my box was Pedro Martinez on the Red Sox. So
Mm,
I'm like, oh, this is
mhm.
very cool.
Yeah, Pedro.
Yeah.
Um, so I got it wrong. It's not 4th and 6. It's 4 and 6?
Yeah, so it's 4 and 6 because for two reasons. If you say it kind of fast, it sounds like forensics, and so I'm doing the look deep dive, looking into it, and then the four and six on a baseball score sheet would be like the second baseman flipping to the shortstop to get the out.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
So
right, right. Oh my goodness. That okay, that triple play, that's deep. That is, I like that. Oh, I
thank you.
people go like, "What is this card diary by Javier Thompson?" That's a dumb name for a podcast. And I'm like, "Well," and then I explain it and they're like, some people go, "Oh, okay, I get it." Or some people are like, well, it's still dumb." I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Just double
forget
down
the
on getting mad
name.
about it.
No, but yours, forensics, 4 and 6. I really like the play on words.
Thank you.
Again, I got that just dad jokes thing, and just kind of
Yeah,
like I like what you're doing there. That's really cool.
thank
So
you.
4 and 6
Yeah,
podcast. Um, I didn't. I listened to the first episode. I didn't listen to the one you're talking about. So
yeah,
own the game, 2005 tops. That's what brings you. So I hope I encourage people, if you're not a big baseball fan, I don't know how long you've gotten into this episode. If you are, I
yeah,
hope you've enjoyed it. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. But check out TA's, or I can say
yeah,
Tigers podcast. I think that's wonderful. So I'm not gonna get you out on that, although let's plug it right now since we're talking about it. But um, Top Stadium Club, I find so
mhm,
fascinating because it's full photographic images on,
yeah,
like no bleed, full bleed. I think that's the term. The cards, there's no borders. It really
mhm,
gives me intense nostalgia for my basketball
yeah,
Top Stadium Club that I grew up with in the 90s.
mhm,
Just see full emotions on the players' faces. The photographer, I don't know how much they get paid and all that, but like it was clear that they love the game, and they got amazing shots of
yeah,
the players. And I opened up like 2 boxes of it, and even though they're base cards, I'm just like I think my favorite. I don't have a favorite card yet. I mean, it might be the Babe Ruth where he's in a car and just looks so,
Oh, that's cool.
just such a yeah. He
Yeah.
looks so amazing. He's got like leather gloves and the hat, and he's just like, look, I know who I am. That
Yeah.
type of look. But it's the style of card that I find really interesting, and they definitely don't do this in basketball that I know of, is the worm's eye view. And I don't know if it's because they're
Hmm.
taking it from, say, like the dugout, but we all know the bird's eye view shot, and the like, f- eye to eye shot. I don't know, like head on. But
Mm.
the worm's eye view, it just makes these players look like deities.
Yeah.
They're already like really, you know, strong, muscular individuals, but it just makes them look so godlike.
Yeah, I think the one that comes to mind for me is that Bo Bichette one where you can see I don't know what the name of it is, the big tower in Toronto,
Mm,
where that's like in the background. So the shot is up. So Bo Bichette's running to the side and the tower's in the background. It's like,
that
that's such a cool card.
that's so perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, the photographer who took that. I mean, the timing just has to be just perfect. I
Right.
mean, but they're professionals for a reason. Um, you've had some chats with people who work with like Getty Images, right? Or like
Mhm.
photographers.
Yeah.
I've seen that on your Instagram. Like these folks, I mean, they've been taking pictures, I guess, their whole life, and
Mhm.
it's their passion and their way of making money. But so they're professionals. But I can't even imagine how, like, again, kind of like a goalie or a relief pitcher, you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and then there's your moment, and you have to capture it. I don't want to sound like
Yep.
Eminem and like mom spaghetti on the and all that, but like, that's your
Yeah.
moment right there.
Right. Yeah. I think it's a cool series to have because it also some of those pictures would never make it onto the flagship series. So to have a stadium club use those pictures and everybody loves them because it fits in that kind of box, I guess, so to speak,
Yeah,
instead of your normal cards. I think I mean the photography in that set is great every year.
yeah, yeah. No, it really makes me, again, I'm just so excited for once Fanatics gets the licenses and Tops gets the licenses for NBA and NFL,
Mhm.
more NBA. But I'm so glad I kind of have been dabbling in baseball because,
Mhm.
like, I didn't grow up playing baseball. I didn't do little league. I just like stickball and like things like that in my
Yeah.
neighborhood, growing up in New York City. And so I don't have like a connection with baseball with like my dad. I don't have a connection with baseball with like my son. Like they don't play little league.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, probably the closest thing, and I've talked about this in earlier episodes, is kind of like my connection with like my father-in-law who loved the Brooklyn Dodgers, and my
Yeah.
mother-in-law who loves the Yankees. And so, you know, sharing with them cards or like showing them what I picked up, and I just gift it to them, and they're happy about that. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I guess I just want to be a good son-in-law.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's the season. It's again this romantic boys of summer. Just kind of like this idea of it's a long season, but I imagine the chemistry on a baseball team is unlike others because
Right.
you're just in it for such a long time and such a hot time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Long season. One of the guys that I talked to for my podcast was he was a clubhouse manager. He was also a bat boy for a string of games with Seattle, and now he works in the Angels organization as a clubhouse manager, and he's really stressed to me that it's a very long season and sometimes tensions can kind of rise if if a guy's locker's dirty or if whatever kind
Mm,
of stuff, but overall his job is to be like, hey, just so you know, like, you got to clean this up or you got to do this.
yeah,
But I think overall the bond is so strong because you're with them all summer long, all season long. There's no practice. In hockey, if you have a bad game, the next day is usually you get to practice. It doesn't happen for baseball. It's game time all the time. And I have a feeling and I figure that um, you know kind of generates into some team chemistry there and bonds.
yeah. No, it's I mean, It's funny how like in the 80s and or earlier too, like I remember like who was the most famous one? It was either Lenny Dykstra or John Kruk, where they just have that big old wad of like tobacco in their mouth, and they're just like, I'm just like, how do you do that and play? But
Yeah.
we get indoctrinated with that as a younger, like the Big League Chew. Remember, like the shredded
Yeah.
gum,
Oh yeah.
and like and the sunflower seeds, like the
Yeah.
David sunflower seeds. Like I didn't even grow up playing little league, and I'm like eating that or putting Big League Chew in my mouth to look like a huge wad in my mouth, like
Yeah.
like one of the Phillies players. I think I guess also Dallas Strawberry did that too,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's funny how we mimic that stuff. But yeah, I mean, baseball players, I mean, certainly they're the divas. They're the people who like take the bat and just whack the heck out of the Gatorade, the Gatorade jug. But yeah, I just feel like maybe I'll get you out on this. Is I don't know if you would agree because like thank you for sharing like what you collect
Yeah.
and who you PC because it looks like it's Boston athletes, but I just have a working general theory that baseball players have better autos than like say basketball and
Mm.
football. And I wonder again, one, you'd have to agree with that because some people might not. They might be like, no, all of them are good or bad or in between and it's random. But I just have a general feeling that baseball players have better autographs. And if you do agree with that sentiment or theory, or not theory, sentiment, my working theory is that these major league baseball players, they don't go immediately from college to the big show. They have to go through
Hmm.
minor league system.
Yeah.
So that's when you get humbled, or that's when you really start to appreciate. Whereas in the NBA or NFL, you get drafted and you're immediately uh, deemed the savior of the team, and you don't have time, and like
Yeah.
you're immediately worth millions of dollars, where minor league you have to like struggle and you have to literally get on a bus city to city, and you're not charter planes all the time. What do you think about that?
So I've never thought about that before, but I kind of agree uh, with the autograph thing. I feel like there's always something about if you see a signed baseball anywhere,
Hmm.
I feel there's a certain like draw to that. There's an energy about it. It doesn't matter who the player is. It's like that's I don't know. I get that feeling where if I go into any shop and there's a signed baseball, you're like, it's a nice looking autograph.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
I
I don't know. There's a draw to it.
yeah, there is. And we why do we want on-card autos more than stickers? It's because we have this romantic feeling that, oh, the person actually their
Held it.
hand brushed by it and they held it. I mean,
Yeah.
talk about a baseball. You got the if it's a righty, their whole full flesh of their left hand
Yeah.
holding the
Yeah.
baseball while signing it, and so you get full I don't know what you want to call it, like skin cells and DNA, but that's what we want. And yet cards are highly coveted because they're so, I don't know, for many reasons, but they're transportable. They're I mean, I've seen the baseball at like my local card show here, Chantilly, where they'll have autographed baseball vendors, and I'm just like,
Mm.
I can't even imagine how hard it is to transport that. Whereas cards, it's just put them in a case and
Right.
then you're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is something about baseball player autographs that I'm just more impressed by their because there's so many people. Oh, they don't have time, or they don't care about we want them to care, right? I mean,
Mhm.
that's the whole point. Like, why are we collecting these cards if we think that you know all of these players don't care about their fans? Like,
Yeah.
might as well not collect them.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Like the on-card autos are much more desirable. And then the autograph baseball, because you're holding it. Like a football, you're like the person's probably, tucked it in between their forearm and their
Yeah,
hand, and they're like trying to get in the same with a basketball or
yeah,
and then a hockey puck is kind of like you're holding it with just a tip, so your fingers kind of
yeah.
oddly like that. But the baseball, you get the whole like the palm, and I don't know. That might be a
Yeah.
really like an odd thing to like desire, but I think it's pretty cool.
I don't know, but baseball is definitely, and much as I love basketball and I can romanticize basketball. Baseball to me is just so fascinating because of, and people talk about how it's all about the history and traditions, but that's I think baseball out of all the other sports is the one that really binds people together generationally and across racially and globally. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the first year where they're going to have regular season MLB games in Korea, with the Dodgers and the Padres, and to me I'm just like, that's so awesome. um you know and I love I'm not such a fuddy-duddy traditionalist where I actually really enjoy the Korean baseball KBO, where
Yeah.
during the pandemic they got some
Mhm.
shine and they're just bat flipping everything. They're just
Yeah.
like bat flipping, just anything that they want, and to me it's just hilarious. And I know for the traditionalists, they just were like, oh, I can't wait till that person gets plunked.
Yeah. I know there's such like the unwritten rules. Some of them, I don't know. I'm like, all right, you could probably get away with that. But like, I saw there was this tweet. It was about, you know how Nickelodeon did I think they did the Super Bowl, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
they had like the cartoon characters explaining the rules. And I saw
yeah.
somebody tweeted like, I need this for the World Series because I need Dora the Explorer to explain why this guy got a fastball to the head after his teammate bat flipped.
Yes, exactly. Oh, yeah, and it's not even like the exact player. They
Yeah.
retaliate against the teammates. Oh my goodness. No, I baseball is wild. But I'm glad we have it. I'm glad that you provide such entertainment and such dedication, really, to these cards. I may try to get you if I can ask you. My gift, my my payment for asking you to maybe do some basketball cards will be the
The
2023
2023, yeah.
tops cards. But um thank you so much for being on.
Yeah.
Like this is truly enjoyable. I hope people who are listening enjoyed it. I really encourage, if you like or love baseball cards, you have to be following TA24 cards on Instagram, and
Yep.
forensics
Sports, yeah.
on Spotify, right?
Yep, 4 and 6 sports.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to plug or anything else you want to get out on here?
I don't think so. I mean, it's the Instagram page has grown, I mean, crazy. For the longest time, I was just posting to 30 people, maybe
Hmm.
getting a like or two, and then so many people kinda got on board with it, and I'm super grateful for that, and, I mean, it's blown up way more than I would have imagined. I only expected a couple, maybe 100 people to think it was interesting, so
Hmm.
it's crazy to me that it resonates with people and they remember the game, they remember watching it, or they share it with their family members. I've had people that are like, me and my son love to do this, or I shared this with my dad, and I'm like, that's it.
Yes.
That's why. And that's why we do a lot of this card stuff. This hobby is we do it with somebody else that cares about it. And so it's been a great run so far.
You are an awesome individual, Tiger. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for everything you do for the hobby, for just the love of baseball, and again, like hockey. I had no clue.
I
Goalies,
know. I know.
expensive,
Yeah.
expensive equipment. But thank you again so much. Hope you have a
Absolutely.
great rest of your day, everyone who's listening. And I will try to put this up on YouTube and make some clips. I've been really bad with. I'm so behind that I almost don't want to do it. But you're actually inspiring me with your editing and all that. I do like to use CapCut as well, but
Yeah.
it just I think this was meant to be for you to be on today, and so
Absolutely.
I want to do right by you, and I'm gonna try and splice this interview into something that I can make an Instagram reel about. So
Awesome.
yeah, thank you so much. Have a great
You
rest of your
too.
day, and everyone listening, hope see you at the next one. Take care.
You too.